last week that all of our articles were actually just a joke, but I'm pretty sure we're good. Starting off with, Microsoft is going to be building some augmented reality headsets for the US government, specifically for the military or the US Army. Not just the government in general, because I guess the government in general was very vague and
very broad.
Yeah.
The accounting is going to be through the roof. The Treasury Department.
Gmail has chat integration now. And
Because
this article wasn't as interesting to me, but there are some changes to Hangouts and to Google Voice that were kind of interesting to me.
Okay.
Not even in this article, but just that I've actually seen in my life from using.
Okay, because I use Google Voice and
Google
Hangouts
Fi,
still.
not Google Voice.
Oh, okay.
I should say Google Fi, not Google Voice. Yeah. The compass is back in Google Maps.
I used it today.
So as you're driving around, yep, I used it over the weekend.
I feel like I've never not used it though.
To be honest,
it's been there.
I didn't really realize when it was gone, but I did realize it when it was there this weekend as I was driving.
Okay, yeah, I definitely noticed and used it.
And today. I like it being there.
It's super useful.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Google is taking a step into protecting Android users' privacy across apps, protecting you from other apps.
Facebook.
And finally, 7% of Americans say they don't use the internet.
That's the 7%. So we have 7% of the population watching our live stream. It just happens that the same 7% don't use the internet.
I'm pretty sure that's impossible. Oh, and now I think I got you.
Yeah, there you go. The 7% that will watch.
Yeah.
Oh man, this is interesting.
So,
$22 billion VR headset. The government has ordered one $22 billion headset, or roughly 120,000.
They've ordered
devices.
more than. Yeah. And judging by the wording in this article, it's going to be used for training, but also probably actually used somewhat in combat or in combat situations as well by the military. At least, that's the idea eventually, because it mentions being there for I think situational awareness. Trying to see where. Yeah, enhancing the situational awareness and providing training opportunities. So, two main goals of actually being used in combat and then just general training.
I wonder if it's all training, because just enhancing general situational awareness, that could just be in training. They're trying to make your situational awareness higher.
It could be. It could be, but I'm thinking of it as like a heads-up display, like a fighter pilot would use.
Right. So,
and maybe being able to visualize, a map as you're also looking at other stuff, and it's like your own screen display when you're playing games.
Right. It would be super cool because looking at the picture, there is 7 cameras or something on the top of it. Mm-hmm. If your headset was doing an instant stream to 2 or 3 other guys and a base space, and they were able to look on the cameras, and so they could have infrared and UV or something, and they have all these different ways to look. So while you're fighting, they say, on your left 3rd story we have a heat signature or something, and then you have 3 people manning 1 human. And that could be one really cool way if there's not a latency problem.
True. Yeah.
But I would imagine most of it is going to be all within the headset itself, rather than having the ability to have multiple people on one person.
Yeah. So big deal for AR and VR and hopefully it'll make the consumer products
better,
nicer, and eventually bring the prices down too, as they're being more mass produced.
What was the price? 21.9 billion. We can actually find out how much they're paying per headset. So you got
roughly. I'm sure there's other things included.
I don't think there's any other factors in that deal. I can pull the calculator. There it is. So we need.
Do you remember how many zeros are in a billion?
100,000 million billion.
That's a million. Yeah.
Are we talking an American billion or a British billion?
American billion.
American billion. And then so we take that, we hit that little divide button by 120,000 devices. $182,000 headset.
So maybe not bring the prices down. That's pretty crazy.
It better be wireless at that price. That's wild.
Yeah, really, they better be wireless. Yeah, that's a lot of money.
Do you use Google Hangouts?
I used to. Only because I have Google Fiber. Okay, here's another side note. I just looked up the Microsoft Corporation revenue, and in 2020 they had $143 billion in revenue. So this 21 billion is not insignificant even for a big company like Microsoft.
So they had 143 last year. Okay, yeah. So that's like a 10% sale or so.
Yeah, a little bit more than that, like 13%. But yeah,
I wonder how much of it's actually
not
profit on
insignificant
that, though.
at all.
So like after Microsoft's done with their headsets and paying the employees and all the R&D and all that, how much Microsoft's actually making on it? Because that number is, 10 or 15% of their entire profit of last year, but this number is not profit for Microsoft.
No. It's their revenue.
Oh, okay.
Their revenue last year was 43. Okay. Yeah.
Wow. Holy cow. So that is significant. Yeah.
And you'd think that for most Microsoft stuff, the profit margin is probably like relatively,
not big.
Yeah, but relatively similar across their different products. Yeah. Although with the price per headset there, they might be getting a lot of profit from that.
Yes, I can see like their OneDrive and their Office 365 having a pretty nice profit margin on that. But then, with the Xbox game studios or the Xbox itself, I don't see too much of a profit margin on those themselves. Like they'll have enough, of course, but I don't see it being 70%.
Yeah. So yeah, Hangouts. So I used to never use Hangouts or Google Voice. I've used Google Voice numbers before when I needed another phone number for some reason.
Yep.
But I recently started using Hangouts when I got Google Fiber, because I was able to, or not Google Fiber, Google Fi, which is their wireless plan, yes. Google's wireless plan, because I'm able to view my text messages by logging into my Gmail account or on my phone in the Hangouts app. But recently, they made it where you can't use the Hangouts app for that anymore. And they broke it out into, you have to use the Google Messages app. And then online, you can no longer view your texts through Gmail. You have to actually go to like messages.google.com or something like that.
Oh, that is not for me.
But I'm not. Yeah, but I'm not terribly familiar with this Google Chat app, actually.
Okay. Yeah, because I'm still using Google Hangouts like today on my phone. And it still works. And then it pops up on my Gmail account. So under the Gmail account that my Google Hangouts is on, I can see my emails and I can see all my chats. So like it's been working the same way it's been working for the last 2 years or whatever.
Do you have Google Fi?
No. I have several Google Voices.
Gotcha.
Because I like those free phone numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, mine hasn't switched yet.
Interesting. Yeah, because for me, I can view my text message history, but none of the message conversations have names associated with them. I cannot, there's not even a text box for me to enter a new message and hit send in the Gmail like web app. Yeah.
Wow.
And same thing in the Hangouts mobile app. Yeah.
Let's say I'll pull mine up now and take a look at it, but I just signed out of everything trying to get this darn thing done. So I might try that off camera. But yeah, no, like I was talking on Hangouts on my phone this morning, so I don't know.
Wow.
I'm not as special as you, apparently.
They kicked me out early. Have you ever used this Google chat that this article talks about?
Never even heard of it until now. It seems weird that the icon for it does not match the rest of their icon theming of super vague 4-color shapes.
Yeah.
So from the looks of it, it's 2 green speech bubble thingies, I guess. Actually, I don't know what the real icon is. But yeah, it doesn't match the rest of their garbage icons. It would really just be nice if they tried again with Google Plus, but not called it Google Plus. And finally get all of these things under the one umbrella that they should be under. So that you don't have Google Chat, Google Hangout, Google Voice, 3 different ways to send a text message. You can just have the one platform.
But here's the difficulty with that. What if someone has a voice account and they don't want it to be combined with their Hangouts account? Like, you have that separate phone number for a reason. So integrating them back in together will be pretty...
Then they don't need to get the phone number. They could just keep it under their email. It's like mine are separated, I believe. No, they are together. So like you can text my email address and it'll pop up in my Google Hangouts with the phone number. So if you text my email or if you text my Google Hangouts number or Google Voice number, I guess. Yeah, they all go under the same Hangouts. It all gets combined together. And I don't know one single person that wants to keep it separate. Like, no, my Google Voice text and my Hangouts text need to stay separated. Because they're under one Gmail account. They use the same password and email address to log into both of those accounts. They're owned by the same mega corporation.
But if they have different numbers, and you want to use one for, say, Craigslist, one of those phone numbers for Craigslist, and you want to use your actual phone number for actually sending text messages to people you know.
So Google also does this really cool thing with their
If
Gmail.
Google combines these services in the wrong way, there's going to be a lot of people who are pretty upset.
Yeah. So Google does the thing with the Gmail where you can add IMAP email accounts to it. So like you can have your domain name and have an IMAP email set up with it. And you can do it all within Gmail. And so when you send an email, it asks which account you want to send it from. When you receive it, it tells you which account received it, but it puts it all together. That way you only have like one news feed for both accounts. You can make like the labeled filters. So like, I just want to check this account or just check this account, and it'll auto sort it. But then at least it's all sorted and organized, and you don't have to log into 7 different accounts, right?
Yeah.
I feel like it's very fragmented.
I feel like it should not have been fragmented in the first place, and that fixing the fragmentation is not that easy. It would have been better to not in the beginning, but at this point it's too late, obviously.
Okay, so would you say out of the 3 options of them just not fixing it and just keeping it fragmented, that's option 1. Option 2 is to merge them all together and just like, nope, we're mushing it all together and this is just how it's going to work. You get labels and you can relabel it.
Yeah.
Or to say, nope, we're just killing these services and then we're having, you know, Google Chat integrate all these services, but you just have to re-sign up. You know, you have to get your new number, get the new email. Yeah.
I think they're going to merge them all together and kill off individual services eventually, but I don't think it's going to be a super smooth process.
I would rather be super rough and be over 1 week and just get it over with than to drag it out over the next 3 years. The benefit of the dragging out is, as a computer guy, this is going to be a huge money market. I won't mind that one in one bit. It'll definitely keep me in business for another few months, but it's going to be a headache.
Yeah, I can see that.
But you know, it wasn't a headache. I got a rant on this one too.
Oh, the compass.
The compass. I'm pulling up my rant. So I never even realized it was like gone, which is odd, I guess.
I believe it was gone in certain places. Like, for example, the compass is there if you're just browsing around on Google Maps in satellite view or street view or something. I'm pretty sure it was still there, but it might have been hidden on the actual navigation mode, as in when you have a route selected and you're currently driving to your destination. I think the compass was hidden and now it's visible again. And the only reason I say that is because, I mean, I have used that compass because you click the compass to recenter your map facing north as you're just browsing around on Google Maps.
Right.
But I just realized that the compass was there on the navigation, and I had never realized that it was there before. And so, you know, it's too much of a coincidence for me to just have noticed it this week and then it being reintroduced into the app. But there's no way the compass wasn't there on just browsing around on Google Maps. There's no way, because you always use it to recenter and reorient to north.
Because you always accidentally rotate, undoubtedly.
Accidentally twist it, and then you can't even find the Atlantic Ocean. You're just like totally lost.
All right, this is a super bad example, but I guess it works good enough. So I use a different mapping service while I ride the motorcycle. This one works. And that's simply because it doesn't try to find you the smoothest, fastest route. It finds the twistiest, longest route, which is something you kind of want, I guess, when you're riding a motorcycle. So it's called Cali.
If you're riding more for the scenery and the experience,
so it's called Cali Moto, and I really enjoy it. But as you can see in the image, I guess when it loads for you, it works just like Google Maps, where you're on the screen and where you're going is up. And so like it keeps your vehicle facing up. Well, it turns out that that's not on by default. It keeps you in the cardinal direction north. So if you're driving south, your thing is down here at the bottom going down. You can't see what's coming up besides 4 kilometers. You're going to make a left.
Wow, that's
and it's not
unfortunate.
It's not normal by default. And it took me like a month to find out you have to click this 3D button. So it says 2D with it straight up, and if you click it to 3D, it like turns it a little bit like Google Maps does, and then points you in the right direction. And so like I've always noticed that my compass was there, because when I use Kalimoto, my compass is there. And so I guess I just don't use the compass enough when I'm in the car. Or I don't use Google Maps enough when I'm in the car to have noticed it missing. So that's my best bet on why I didn't realize it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I never noticed it being missing, but I just recently noticed it being there again. Then I came across this article. I was like, wow, that kind of makes sense.
Right. Yeah, woke up a little late.
Apparently there's a lot of stuff on their support page about people asking for
it back.
The compass to be re-added. Yeah.
Yeah, I woke up late today to go out on a house call real fast, but I wanted to ride the motorcycle, so I just opened up Google Maps. I was like, nope, this will be the fastest way there. And it had the compass on it. Because, of course, trying to type in the address and click on the map, you rotate it. And so I had to click the compass, line me back up. Never even thought about it. But glad to have it back, I guess.
Yeah.
Do you know
Why not just make it toggleable, though? Why completely remove it or just add it? Why not just make it toggleable?
That's a fair point.
It shouldn't be that hard.
I don't know. That's a programming thing. You know what else is a programming thing?
Sponsors?
Your website. The best programming.
GMRmedia.com.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah. And?
Everything that's not programming. Nephew.tech.com. I own the domain now.
Pictures of the stars.
And the lake, I think. I actually don't know what it is. I haven't been to it so long. I have to type out the whole thing.
Some body of water. Either an ocean or...
Ah, it is agua. So I saw this article and I instantly thought, Facebook's gonna hate Android. So this is over on Gizmodo.com. Google is cracking down on apps that can see every other app you have installed. So apparently Android is a lot more open than an average Android user may think it is. And so when you install an app, it can see everything that your phone does to a degree. This is, I think, specifically saying that any app can see all the other apps installed on the phone, or packages, as the Android people call them. And it looks like this may be something that Google's going to shake the finger on, like, and taking away this feature and not a bug. So it looks like that Google is giving all the developers 30 days or till the beginning of May. By May 5th, will have a risk of their app being removed or delisted from the Google Play Store.
Okay.
It would be interesting to see if Google would take Facebook off of the Play Store. I would have a very hard time.
Yes. And it'd be interesting to know how many apps actually do use this query all packages.
Probably all of them.
Because I can't think of a lot of apps that would need to know the other apps installed.
Correct. So one of the things that does come to mind for me, though, is a company like Facebook or Google, the two specifically, because they're so fragmented and broken, is that Google or Facebook has the Facebook app and the Marketplace app and the Messenger app and whatever they've rebranded their business one to, the Business Suite app. And so one of the benefits there is if you sign in on one of the apps with your Facebook account, then you download another one of the apps, it could probably auto sign in for you. I have no idea. It's been a year since I set up my phone, but that could be one of the nice things. And so with Google also being extremely fragmented. You can sign into your Gmail account in the Gmail app, and it could also sign into the OneDrive, or what is it called? Google Drive? Yeah, Google Drive.
Yeah.
And then along with any of their other like Hangouts and Google TV and Google Search and Chrome, all of those can just be signed in all together. And that'd be one of the benefits of having cross-talking apps. While everything else about cross-talking app is pretty much a negative.
Well, and that example that you mentioned doesn't really explain the query all packages, though, because those are specific apps like Facebook and Instagram and whatever other products they have, Messenger, as opposed to like actually querying all the packages, all the applications installed on the phone.
Oh,
and actually this article mentions types of apps that will be exempt from this. So it says that some apps that will be allowed to have broad app visibility include apps like file managers, browsers, antivirus apps, and others that simply cannot function without deeper access to other apps.
So can Facebook not function without access to other apps? It's necessary for their current business model to have access to their customers' data. Their users' data, sorry. Need to reword that one. It would be wild to see. On the privacy train, though, this week, it's a little off topic, but we're 27 minutes in, and we're 4 topics deep on 5 topics. I set up a Docker server at my shop, and messing with Docker a little bit. And one of the things I went ahead and installed was a Pi hole at the shop. And so I get customer computers in, and I work on those customer computers. Mm-hmm. A lot of things I do is remove viruses and scams and all that such. I wish I had taken a picture of just from it being off and flatlined to me working on a customer's computer. It just so when I go back in to work again,
because those bad programs are making a lot of internet calls.
Yes.
And so you just see all those on the Pi hole.
Right.
As soon as you connect to your network and connect to the Pi hole. Wow, that's pretty crazy.
One of the things I didn't expect is the antivirus I use in store is doing a ton of callbacks, which I guess does make sense because it just need to verify with their cloud service for, like, is this actually bad? Which is fine. I just wasn't expecting it to be like hundreds. I was thinking like 10, 7, those kind of numbers, not 480 on a virus scan. I'm like, hey, that's a lot more than I thought,
Yeah.
So like, here we have all the analytical data turned off. So it just either allows it or blocks it. And we keep track of those numbers. But at the shop, I'm like, I'm kind of curious about these statistics. What exactly is going through? Because it was blocking all my antivirus analytical data going through. I was like, we'll allow that. I trust this developer.
Yeah.
Since I'm paying them for antivirus, right?
Kind of necessary for the business.
But it does make me double guess. Like, I mean, all the techs I know recommend them. I like them. It works great. But then the Pi hole says it's bad. Why? Somebody programmed in that this website is not good. So I feel like I need to do a little digging, but it'd be interesting to see.
It could be the sheer amount of requests that are being made in a short period of time. Almost like a DDoS, but an internal DDoS. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Because if it is making like 400 requests in a short period of time,
like the 10-minute scan, right?
I can see why it would get flagged. Yeah. But I mean, it could be something different. I have no idea.
Because a
theory.
Yeah, because as soon as I turn the customer computer on, connect it to the internet to get the latest update on the virus software, and then the virus scan outnumbered Microsoft's telemetry pretty fast. Like as soon as I connected to the internet,
Wow.
Microsoft's telemetry was going, and it was just a steady tick. But then all of a sudden, the antivirus, it just shot straight up.
Wow.
So yeah, I'm curious throughout this week on how it looks in comparison to home, simply because at the house we're much more tech savvy here, and so we're not clicking on that type of stuff. So how much of it is the user's fault for privacy? So, you know, like I have Facebook on my phone, so how much of it is me doing stuff versus how much is it, you know, is it user dependent or is it app dependent mostly? But I don't know, I'd be curious to see after a week.
Yeah.
So I'll get those I'll get the percentages, I guess, is what is actually interesting. Because here is like, what is here? Here
in terms
we are
of
at,
like blocked to actually allowed through.
Yeah, here is 52.3% blocked. So yeah, after 24 hours, it'll give me a pretty good guess on average blocked from user or customer computers.
Yeah.
Do you know what my customers are, though? The 93%.
Yes.
So our final article
according to
go ahead.
Yeah, from a Pew Research report, or the Pew Research Center, they found that on the right there, kind of on the middle of the page, is where the important stuff is. 7% of U.S. adults say they don't use the internet. If you scroll down a little bit further, it goes into the age ranges, and the biggest discrepancy here is people over 65 years of age. And then there's also a pretty big gap in people who make less than $30,000 a year in income.
Okay.
And then less educated people being people who have their high school diploma or less education. 14% of them say they don't use the internet.
And then a little bit more on the rural versus city folk, as they call them. Yeah.
Yeah. So definitely not surprised about the age range there, or the age,
that age doesn't surprise me.
It makes sense that a lot of old people don't use it. Yeah.
It really shocks me that there is 1% of people between 18 and 29 that don't use the internet. Wait, how does this work number-wise? It says out of the people asked? Because
out of the people who fall into that category, I assume. So if they ask 100 people age 18 to 29, then whatever it says, 5 of them don't use the internet, or 1 of them doesn't use the internet. As opposed to like asking 100 adults in America, it's not like 1 of them is age 18 to 20. That makes sense.
But it's
I'm pretty sure it's the percentage inside of that category.
Sure, I guess. Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out how that there's 6 men and 7 women, which would make 13 units, whatever we want to call the unit. And then the age range is 1, 2, 4, and 25, which makes 34.
Yeah, no, I agree that the way that these stats were presented is kind of hard to interpret, but do you understand what I mean by, like, if they ask 100 men, then 6 of them say don't? Yeah, exactly. Inside of that specific category.
Oh,
yeah, because the age thing threw me off too.
So,
yeah,
and under the age one for 65 plus, out of 100, 25 of them say they don't. Maybe.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. 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 It's threw me off for a minute too. Here was my big question: how was this poll conducted?
Right? Like, is it on the streets? Is it a newspaper call-in? Yeah,
because that can very vastly change the demographic of the people who actually respond to the poll. Like if you're taking this poll on the internet
on Facebook,
well, you
right?
expect to see less than 7% of people who don't use the internet. Yeah, because it's on the internet.
Yeah.
But I looked into it. Up on the top left of the page, there's a little button that says how we did this, and it turns out they called people on either cell phones or landlines between January 25th and February 8th of 2021. So they called people.
So this is based on people who answer the phone and take a survey.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so
just something to keep in mind whenever you're looking at a survey.
If you were to conduct a survey where you wanted the vast average, so like you can't just walk around your town because that's a certain type of person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What would your first instinct be to do?
I mean, my first instinct as someone who uses the internet would be to put a poll out on the internet somewhere. Now, where would I put that? I don't know. I guess it depends on, well, it definitely depends on what it is that you are polling about as well.
That's very true.
But my first instinct would be to, put it on the internet somewhere. Where specifically, I really don't know. But the Pew Research Center is pretty well known for doing polls and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know much about them specifically, but I've definitely heard that, name many, many times.
So the one thing I would think would be a good option, I couldn't do it personally just because of the size of me, but somebody like Pew Research or someone with a big name behind them would be to reach out to Chamber of Commerce's and then have the Chamber of Commerce's responsible for sending out to the businesses that are part of it or something. And then that would, I mean, it's a terrible idea. It's a terrible way to describe it, but like a multi-level marketing. So they send it off and then they send it off and then it just comes back. That way you can get the largest variety of people, and in return, the businesses feel like they're doing something, I guess.
In a way. Yeah. As long as you have the businesses asking their customers, not just the Chamber of Commerce is asking the businesses, because then you would get business owners responding.
Right? Yeah. So you'd have to have like at restaurants or something that you have like a 5% discount and somehow get reimbursed or something.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting to see.
And then also, if you go all the way down to the bottom of the article, it says it has a graph of the population who don't use the internet since 2000. And you can see it, obviously dropping drastically as expected. But in 2000, 50% of people, or almost 50% of people, didn't use the internet.
What's really mind-blowing is that it doesn't drop really hard right there at 2020. I would have expected to see
it's pretty linear,
a physical dip, almost like it did at that 24, or after 24, and it dropped pretty hard to 15 and then held 15-ish. But yeah, I would have expected a much bigger drop when the pandemic hit and everyone was forced onto the internet, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty interesting, though. I am glad I do not have to.
If you're watching the stream, you're in part of the 93%.
The best 93%.
Oh yeah.
Well, I think we're gonna need 6 topics from there on. Just not enough. I looked everywhere.
So. Not quite. We didn't have any articles from The Verge, did we?
Not a single one. Verge is letting us down.
It's disappointing.
On that note, I think that's pretty much all I got, right?
2-year anniversary. What?
right? We're like, oh, we'll celebrate that next week, and then next week comes like,
maybe next week, maybe next year.
Right? We'll have a big party. All right.